On the first day of December, my island gave to me an empty plot to go villager hunting. This is ridiculous. Why hello Artsy Gamer friends, and welcome back to another Animal Crossing video. It's been so long since we've actually done a video on my Casual Crossing island Lagom. If you are new to my channel or if you are new to Casual Crossing, this is a challenge that I started in January of 2024. So we are getting towards the end because the goal was to do a year-long project of playing Animal Crossing differently. And I haven't really been showing Lagom really. I haven't been doing my Casual Crossing long play videos for a while because other things were going on, but I thought because we are in the last month of the year that we would do a really low-key chill series to get comfy and cozy and to celebrate the end of the year. And what better way to do that than by going, villager hunting. I know that a lot of people during the holidays like to do like making a holiday island in 30 days. I know that Beck Plays, for example, did a series of creating an island in 10 days without using any bells, which honestly, I could never. But I've done 30-day islands before. I'm not really willing to reset any of my islands right now, but I thought, why don't we do like a 12-day series? A 12-day series where I go around, clean up my island, and get it ready for the holidays. So the flowers are a mess. I've been trying to get a villager in boxes for a while, and I thought that, we'll do, one empty plot as day one. And do I have my tickets? I do. Fantastic. So yeah, I don't know what the series is going to hold, but I figure that during the end of the year where, schedules are going to be really wonky, really wacky, that we just go on a villager hunt. But we're going to do something a little bit different with this villager hunt because who likes making things super complicated? Me. I thought we would do a tier list of the villagers that we see while villager hunting. And that's because people have asked me over the course of this year, like, Artsy, who are your top 10 really? Because you seem to like every single villager that you find, and that's not true. I actually do have opinions. There are villagers that I consistently and regularly skip over. And I figured we would do a tier list to, one, figure out who my top 10 are, or at least start doing that, and then figuring out like which villagers that I would love having on an island, which villagers are, starter villager energy, autofill energy, this man. Love him. And which villagers that we punt to the sun. You cannot ask to leave, Maddie. We already have Deirdre. She's already gone. What? My interior decorating tastes are kind of all over the place. It makes it hard to decorate my interiors. Girl, I got you. We're gonna be doing that. Oh, you want to come over to my place? I mean, some other time. Girl, I gotta do stuff. We have a new Basti to find. So actually what we're going to do, we're going to go over to Tier Maker. Do you all remember when Tier Maker was like the thing to do in Animal Crossing? Now, I finally found an all Animal Crossing New Horizons villagers as of 2.0, which includes the 2.0 villagers and the Sanrio villagers, which is great because I have a Sanrio villager on my island. And I currently have 2 islands that are a full spread, with the exception of Deirdre, who's just left. And I have some rules with this villager hunt. With my S tier, I can only have 10 villagers. A tier are must-haves, so if I see them on a villager hunt and I'm like, really just wanting a comfort, these are 20 villagers that I must have on an island. It doesn't matter, I will make it work. B villagers are like B grades, right? Happy to have 30 max in this tier specifically, and considering we're going on like a 50 ticket hunt anyway, we're not gonna see all of them, but I figured we could get started with this. C villagers are filler majesties, villagers that I need a body, I need to have somebody just fill the vibe, fill the void. If they come into a campsite, fine. If I'm on my last ticket and I have to take them, fine. And D villagers are starter villager energy, or, you know, I typically skip over villagers that if I see them in the campsite, I'm like, cool. And then nope. There's specifically 2 villagers that I consider nope, but it's going to be really interesting how many villagers are actually D tier for me, because I know for a fact there's probably going to be like a C plus or a C minus or something that is between filler majesties and D tier villagers for me. But considering that we're only going on a 50 ticket hunt today, I don't think we're even going to see our top 10. Oh, what happened to you? You were all about like coming over to my place, and Antonio totally said something nice about my outfit. How sweet is that? As the trendiest aspiring pop star on all of Lagom, I promise to keep my fashion game on point. Well, that's good to know. So another fun thing that I do with my Casual Crossing series is that I really pay attention to which relationship that the villagers curate between each other. So for example, I wonder if Sylvana is home, because Sylvana is the friendliest villager that I have on the island. And so anytime that they talk with each other and it's like a positive experience, anytime that they visit each other, I put their photos in the houses. So as you can see, this girl, also, we love the cherry blossom in the winter. She made a lot of friends, and I'm going to keep Deirdre here because, you know, she was here for quite a while. But Sylvana, thank you so much for showing us your home. I appreciate it. Okay, so back to our regularly scheduled villager hunt shenaniganery. Yeah, so I just need to remember that Antonio and our girl Maddie are friends now. And I guess I could probably explain the villagers that I have on my islands and why I just absolutely love them. So obviously I already have, oh, are you serious? I'm trying to have a my ADHD brain will not let this go. All right, whose is this? This pouch is stuffed with something that smells delicious and probably full of sugar. It's Dizzy's. So my S tier villagers are already on my island, right? Like I already know my top 4 villagers: Antonio, Vesta, Fang, and Olivia, in roughly that order. I think honestly, Olivia and Fang also share like the top 2, because Vesta and Antonio are my top 1 favorite villagers. Like I have plushes of both of them. If I could get an Olivia and Fang plush, I would lose my ever-loving mind. But I don't know, like, who's my 5th top favorite villager? Who is my 6th through 10th? I don't know. And I found it really interesting that as I've played this game for nearly 4 years at this point, I have favorites in the sense that I have experiences with them on my islands, right? So, you know, I already have, out of my 20 slots available for an A tier villager, I already have 6 there because I've experienced them on my island multiple times, right? So yeah, let's just like talk about this, right? Like my A tier villagers are Gonzo, Sylvana, Maddie, Dottie, Doc, and Tiffany. Now, I love Gonzo. Gonzo, I think, has been one of my favorite crankies for a really long time. He is a top cranky for me. Sylvana, I've told this story before, reminds me of my husband because she was one of the few villagers where he looked at her and she's like, oh, she's really cute. And so now every time I see Sylvana, I think of my husband, so she can't leave any of my islands. Maddie has become one of my favorite peppies because of how unhinged she is. I have so many screenshots, y'all, so many screenshots of her saying the wackiest things. And Dottie was one of the first amiibos that I ordered off of Etsy, and I had her on my first island for a while. And she and Tiffany have created this like lipstick lesbian friendship, relationship, situationship, I don't kink shame, on the other island. And so they have to be together. They cannot leave. They are permanent residents of Kinevin. And Doc, I think, has become one of my favorite lazies, period. Now, with the bee villagers, I know this is going to seem really strange because I love Dizzy. He's one of my favorite lazies as well. But like, I don't think he's A tier for me. Like, he's really cute and he's really fun and I really love his energy, but he's just not an A tier villager for me. And maybe that'll change, I don't know. And Deirdre has been a villager that I wanted to have for a really long time. I think she's probably one of the best sisterlies in the game, but I don't know if she's A tier. I may move her. And Coco, Cole, and Gaston and Ruby, because I have them on the island, I'm pretty biased. I think that they are great, but if they ask to leave, I'm not going to say no once I move away from the rabbit-themed island that I'm going for. And then the filler majesties, Ed and Toby. Toby, I really grew to like. I didn't like him originally. I felt that he was a little too smug, which is weird because he's smug. He and Ed, I'm happy to have on an island when I need specifically a smug villager. I've had Ed multiple times and he's really great. And then, this is gonna sound really awful, but Plucky and Bam are definitely filler energy. Like, they are filler queens and kings, and I'm happy to have had them as my starter villagers, but they're not villagers I gravitate towards. And so I actually recently got Plucky's photo, so I'm going to be replacing her with Mira, who is the only sisterly rabbit, and eventually I'm either going to replace Bam with Snake or Genji, which, you know, whatever. But anyway, we're just going to see who we find. And should I remove my ladder? I probably should remove my ladder. Also, what did I get? Star shades? Yeah, we'll wear it. Okay, that's fine. So we'll drop the ladder. We'll keep it from having to do a lot of work on our part. I'm not really looking for resources or anything. I've already done my grind over the course of a couple of months, and by grind I mean I went to order bots and treasure islands. So yeah, I don't know who I want on this island. I was trying really hard to get Ed in boxes, but he had asked to leave in November. And I don't know what it is, but I think that if you tell them to stay, they're less inclined to like leave a second time. I don't know. I've had instances where villagers just are begging to leave, and then you tell them to stay once and they don't leave at all. So Deirdre was the other villager that I was happy to let go. And I'm thinking that because I want to keep Kneven, because I can't believe it never occurred to me that if you're going to have multiple Switches and multiple Animal Crossing games that you want to consistently play, that having 2 seasons where, like, in the northern and southern hemisphere really keeps you from getting burnt out. Like, oh, I have to sign on to 2 winter islands. Instead, you're signing on to a winter and a summer island in December. So if your island decorations are done for the winter, which isn't, you don't need much for that, I don't think, that you can move on to the summer and have some fun with that instead. It's like you can take a break. I really love both of the islands. I want to get back to Kneven eventually because it's kind of empty. But yeah, anyway, let's see who is on the island, shall we? Oh my gosh, we have Rocco. Okay. Y'all, this is a hot take. The hippos have become super cute. Like, if we see Hippo, you're going to be very upset with his ranking for me because he became a favorite. Like, he's not, actually, we're not gonna get there because we may see our friend Hippo, but I had Rocco, I think, on my hard mode island for a bit. I think he was either hard mode or rags to riches. I can't keep up with my challenge islands anymore, but I did have Rocco for a while, and I think, ooh, this is hard. Honestly, I think Rocco is filler majesty. I think, like, if I just needed a cranky to be delightfully cranky, that I would be like, yeah, you know what? You can come to my island. That's fine. He's like that sort of cranky that if someone is bothering you, he's going to bother them right back in the same way. Like, have you heard those stories where there's a guy at a bar that is being obnoxious, specifically to those of the lady femme persuasion, and then you have like these bulky guys come up and do the same thing to the guy and scare them off and hopefully teach them to have this word called boundaries? That's Rocco to me. You know, I think that he would be really fun for any island that's a little bit dilapidated, run down, rusty, but forested too. I also like, there's villagers, as I've said, that if you give me a villager and give me a theme, I guarantee you I can make it work, right? Like, I made I made it work for Rodney with Kidcore. I made it work for Muffy and Pastel. I think Rocco would be a good, like, city core villager that runs either like a detective agency, you know, or maybe he's, you know, I don't know, maybe he's like the dumpster guy. Oh man, that'd be fun. Or maybe he does a thrift store. Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah, no, like absolutely filler majesty. We love Rocco. But yeah, who do I want on this island? I think if Agnes came back, I'd be okay with that. Also, if Beardo shows up, I would be, this is Mitzi, right? Is this Mitzi? Hi, Mitzi, how are you? I know that people love the cats. The cats are okay. I like other species more. I think Mitzi, y'all, you're gonna cancel me for this. I honestly think that Mitzi is filler energy. I think she is. No, actually, I think she's starter villager energy. She's a D tier villager for me. Are you all upset? Am I canceled? Like, there's nothing wrong with Mitzi. If she autofilled in the normal starter plot, I would not be upset. But I have never actively been like, I want Mitzi. I want that girl on my island. Wow, this is gonna be really controversial, isn't it? I also just noticed that the in-game music was off, so I'm so sorry. So hopefully editor Artsy added some nice melodious music for you to enjoy. But anyway, let's see what's going on this island. We have, oh. Okay, gonna be honest. Bo was a very sad Komorebi reset. Like, I really liked having Bo on the island. I honestly think... Ooh. I think he's a B tier villager for me. Yeah. I also have realized that this list is probably going to become very switched up. So by the end of this video, I'll show you the entirety of like my list so far, because as I said, we're not going to get through all of the villagers, but it'd be really nice to see like, you know, where I actually stand with my top 10. I have no idea. But what's been going on? It's December, right? We got our first snow in November, which was wild. Like, I woke up at 6:30 in the morning and I saw this blanket of snow and it was majestic. I don't think I've really ever experienced in memory just seeing red leaves with snow on top, because we're still technically in fall, and it's been snowing so much today at the time of this recording. Like, it's been like, I had to change the lighting because it was so dark and like dreary, but in a good way, like in a snowy way. I've just been kind of hunkering down and thinking about my year, right? Like, that's what happens in November and December, is that you either go through this existential crisis of what did I actually accomplish this year, and, you know, actually celebrating what you did. And this year was a huge transition point for me, right? Like, I had my son start daycare, which meant my day was freed up, and definitely filler energy. Yeah. Our girl's filler energy. Around this time, I go through this crisis of really asking myself, like, did I accomplish a lot this year? And I keep forgetting that when you have a child and you're trying to basically rewrite your entire life from this point forward, because having a child or suddenly being the caretaker of someone so just like dependent on you means that things have to be adapted right on the spot in order to make it work. And I've had to pause and start and stop so many times throughout the year because, like, daycare was a learning curve. We were getting sick off and on because, you know, daycare gremlins bring home daycare delights. And I also made this huge switch over to doing game development, where I spent a good portion of the summer like making these small little games in order to learn game design, right? And so I've had to really move into a different direction than a lot of my friends on YouTube and on Twitch who are reviewing games and, trying to figure out their voice with how they talk about their game preferences and what they enjoy seeing and what they enjoy doing. You often have this inner critic that is really mean about it because they'll say, look how successful your friends are and look how stuck you are. And then I have to go back and think of, I have like this really amazing core community that has been here since the beginning, that has been here for years. And I have Cashmere. I have content creator friends that are genuinely happy to see me. And I think that's a huge win. Like, we have created a global society where we have so many more people than ever before in our general proximity in our lives. And so I have to really think back at what I've accomplished. And Cashmere, I really like Cashmere. I really want to like her more. I had her on an island for a bit and I never saw her, so I never really got to appreciate her as is. Honestly, I think Cashmere is either a filler majesty or a skip over. And I think I'm trying to be a little bit more conservative with that. The only time I ever will be, by the way. So I think we're going to keep her as starter villager energy, like first 10 plots filled just to have the body, just to get to 5 stars. I know that sounds mean, but yeah, we're just gonna keep her there. So when you think about where you are in the end of the year specifically, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit and think about how hard just being an adult is, or just being a person, being a human. Because I've accomplished a lot. I'm learning game development. I'm creating prototype games as I'm learning game development. My games frequently break because I'm taking things from YouTube tutorials of like how to advance it further. And that's a really big deal. The biggest issue though is it's really hard to share that, where I think in social media, we want to see the final product, or we want to see the anticipation of the final product. And lately, I've just been feeling really gross about social media. I don't like the concept of followers. I don't like the concept of subscribers. I don't like the concept of, I don't know, influencer culture really grosses me out. And that's not to say that I'm critical of people who use their videos for sponsorship stuff. Like, listen, if you need that for your income, you hustle, bestie. Like, that's not where I'm coming from. It's more about this notion that I think people are afraid of sharing their works in progress and just being human online because it's not aesthetically pleasing. And I don't know if toxic aestheticism is a term, but I'm really coining it and really considering, like, wait, what is Callie? I've never had Callie before. She's not my favorite squirrel. I think we're going with starter villager energy with Callie. Like, I'm sad to say she's really cute, but she's not my favorite. Like, she's not somebody that I consider a filler majesty. No. So yeah, what have I accomplished this year? I've accomplished creating a boundary for self-care. I have accomplished really setting the tone of who I want to be and what I want to do this point forward. I've gotten back into drawing and doing comics, which is really fun. I've only posted like 1 so far, but I've really loved getting back into drawing. I learned about pixel art and I've started creating like sprites and buildings for my actual game, which you will not see for like at least a half a decade, sorry. And I don't know, I've just been learning a lot of skills. I've been learning a lot about social media engagement that's actually real. And oh, by the way, officially a Twitter quitter, or that's something that I think Mark Hamill said because he preferred that instead of being like an XX, right? So if you want to connect on Blue Sky, that's where I am at right now, and I'll keep selling Blue Sky until I'm blue in the face or until they mess up royally, which, you know, social media can social media, but I do feel that Blue Sky is a lot like Twitter before it got commercialized and it got all weird because your feed, although it's kind of been breaking regularly since they get hundreds of thousands of people joining monthly, if not weekly, that you connect with people based on topics you're interested in. Like the algorithm isn't really an algorithm, it's your feed of people that you follow in chronological order. And it's really cool to see people sharing game development and talking about, you know, the business of gaming. It's really cool to see people share their art pieces of like, and not just really polished people who've been doing it for 20 years artists. I'm talking about people who are sharing their art journey. And that's so cool. Like, I love seeing the fact that we're kind of reclaiming, oh, Norma. I mean, we're not claiming Norma, but I like the fact that people are reclaiming their voice on social media, and I sincerely hope that other social media platforms replace things like Facebook. But anyway, Norma, you know, I've wanted to have this strawberry cow for a while, and she's so cute. She's like, oh my god, my cute aggression is going bananas right now. Like, look how cute this girl is. She's so cute. So cute. I think I want to put her at... I always skip Norma. That's the thing. Like, I have to be honest with myself. Like, have I ever really wanted to have Norma specifically on an island? No, because I have other normals that I really like, right? If Norma was a filler, I'd take her. Yeah, no, let's make her a filler queen. Let's do it. Again, the filler majesties will probably change, but there's like 40 of them, so I'm not really worried about, you know, like running out of room. But it's really hard to like consider who my villager, like who my favorite villagers are. Like, okay, honestly, can you name your top 10? Like, who are your top 10 favorite villagers in this game? If you can only think of 5, that's fine. Like, I can't even think of my 5th favorite villager. Like, I thought that maybe Hazel's a top 10 for me because I really like Hazel, and I liked her even before I started playing this game. Because, oh my gosh, I think I tell the story so often, but I'm going to tell you anyway if you're new. I got this game October 15th, 2020. And so I ordered the Switch, I think in either September, and I purchased the game around that time. And so before I got the Switch and started playing, I was watching YouTube videos. Like, I think the 2 major content creators that I was watching was Chase Crossing and Katie on Calico, but she's recently rebranded. And so I was looking at like how people were designing their islands. I was looking at, you know, what custom codes were. And I was also looking up the Nookopedia of like who these villagers are. And I was like, oh man, like what villagers would I really like to have? Because I didn't know you couldn't control that. I didn't really pay attention to the tutorial until I started actually reading Polygon's guide to the 1st and 2nd week tutorial in Animal Crossing. And Antonio was an instant favorite. Like, I was going, he's adorable. Like, I don't think that anteaters are even my favorite like animal, but the fact that he looks like an anteater, he's hilarious, and I've had to have him on almost every single island. That it's just, I loved Antonio even before I had him. And Vesta was a favorite, and oh, it's Static. Static was a Lagom first 10. I really like Static. I grew to really like Static. Static is much better than Marshall in my absolute correct opinion. I really like him. He's so fun too. Could you imagine him, like, aside from being a cranky, I think he would also make an excellent smug, or no, he would make a really good jock actually. Do we have any jock squirrels? We must have a jock squirrel. We don't have a jock squirrel. He would make an excellent jock squirrel. Honestly, I think he's a filler majesty. I think he is. I think he's like one of those crankies that if you just need a crank to crank, he is the best to have. So yeah, he's filler majesty for sure. But it's also really interesting, like how these villagers can really impact your opinions of them. Like, I am in my mid-30s, friends. I'm officially able to run for president of the United States as of this year. So super fun. Artsy 2028, you know. But I think it's really funny how Animal Crossing players, especially those who have played the previous games, have these ongoing beefs with villagers from like 20 years ago. And it's from either the way that they acted, something that they did. And honestly, it's very true. I don't consider myself like openly a petty person, but honestly, like I still am struggling letting go from Frank being mean to Graham. The first like couple of months on me playing Animal Crossing, like I cannot have Frank on an island. He is absolutely like punt to the sun. However, again, I'm boosting Beck over at Beck Plays with her 10-day island with no bells challenge. She has Frank on that island, and somehow her videos made Frank endearing, and I'm really upset about it. I'm so upset. And here I'm thinking, was I wrong? Was I in the wrong? Am I the drama? And oh, Bones. All right, y'all, this is not controversial because I think everyone I know loves Bones. I think Bones is a must-have. I think he's an A-tier villager. I had him for Yonoya, and I loved him. He was such a fun villager. He's great for like those forest natural vibes. Yeah, no, he's an A villager, 100%. We are currently at 7 of 20 A-tier villagers, but honestly, I may be moving a couple of my A-tier to B-tier. Like, Doc is, I think, my favorite lazy, I think. Maybe. Although Bones is... Oh, but Bones is cute, though. Oh, this is so hard. Yeah, no, friends. Who are your top 10s? Like, I don't care if they are a usual favorite or an expected favorite. If you have top tier villagers that are the most popular and have always been, that's okay. Like, if you have preferences on the basis of how cute they are and how they make you feel, that's fine. But I don't know, it's just there's something really amazing about Animal Crossing that despite the limited dialogue, and I'm not trying to shame the people who obviously worked really hard on this game to create all the dialogue, and I have noticed that I've seen more dialogue options with the villagers that I haven't seen before. Like, you know, the Peppies have specific peppy points, peppy plots, whatever, but Maddie in particular has said things that I've never seen or heard a Peppy say. The same thing for Dottie too. And so I do think that with all of the maintenance, here's my conspiracy theory, that I think that Nintendo adds a little bit of dialogue and a little bit of spice each time. Either that, or I've just been playing so regularly that I'm seeing things that I've never really noticed before. Casual Crossing, because I think we're down to the last 2 months of Casual Crossing. Oh, is this Benedict? I think this is Benedict, right? Loved Benedict, he is fine, but filler energy all the way. Oh wait, no, I need to be very careful about this. So he is starter villager energy, absolutely. So yeah, like Animal Crossing is so unique in the sense that it gives you this option to really create stories and lore. Like the fact that we have content creators like the Amanda Files or Angry Coconut that have these islands that have years long lore and storytelling. That's something that I don't often see in games because it's either this cozy thing where you can just chill out and vibe and not really be immersed in the storytelling, or it's all story all the time. It's like it's either visual novels or story driven action like BioWare's Dragon Age or Mass Effect, or it's this sort of game where you're kind of thrown into this world with a very strange, like, oh, we're on this deserted island, but we didn't pay for it ahead of time, or you make a literal child into mayor that has all of these abilities to change and alter the fate of an entire town of people. And I think it's really cool that this is the sort of game that it is what you make it to be. And in circling back to creator versus creative burnout, I think the biggest issue that I was struggling with this year was I was trying to figure out how to be social media aesthetic. You know, like I was trying to figure out how do I share myself in a way that's even marketable? And God, that sounds so gross. I know that it's part of my job, but again, this is not controversial. Molly is absolutely an A-tier villager because I tried really hard not to like her specifically because of how cute she is. I've had her multiple times, actually also around December, oddly enough, and she is definitely A-tier, 100%. If I was searching for a normal villager today, you'd be coming home. I've been really moving away from this concept of just being aesthetically marketable. And it's been so hard because our social media experience now is all about being marketable, making money, being an influence, having millions of eyes on you at any given point. And, you know, there is a dopamine rush. There is this lizard brain of, you know, the group is validating my existence and what I share and what I provide. And I've been seeing recently how millennials specifically, but I think this applies to literally any generation and any age, is that we need to bring back hobbies that aren't money making, right? Because I started YouTube not with the expectation that I was going to even be able to monetize. I thought that I think that I was in that transition between having 10,000 subscribers with, I think, the same amount of viewing hours to 1,000, and now we're at 500, I believe, because I was also at that point where in having 500 subscribers, I could have the community tab, which I was really excited about. And so I've been really moving away and confronting this desire to be validated by my creative experience and my creative sharing, but also not wanting to do the thing that is trending as a marketable money-making experience. And when people want to get into YouTube or want to start sharing their art pieces, whatever it is, whatever their creative process is, I think we have told people either, you know, act like figuratively or literally told them that, you know, you have to start out as a professional. And I want to bring back this social media thing of like just being social, of just sharing who you are and what you want to do and who you want to be. And Francine, right? Yeah. Francine, I'm gonna be honest, like the bubblegum sisters, I'm not a fan of. I don't like them, but they're not nopes. They're just not for me, you know? I don't like them. Okay, so we're going to make Francine. Francine's definitely someone I skip over regularly. I think I've had her on an island once and she was just there. So sorry, not sorry. I love rabbits in real life and in game, but she's not for me. I've been recording for nearly an hour and we've only gotten through 12 tickets so far, which is this is why, friends, I don't go villager hunting or I don't record it, because I'm not like Cora over at the Cora Mora, who can do villager hunts that have 50 to 100 at a time and just like make it look seamless. I can't. I pontificate. I want to talk to the villagers. I want to talk to all of you. But again, I keep on like forgetting what I'm talking about as I'm doing a villager hunt too. That's a big thing. I don't know how this does it, but when it comes to getting into a creative process, and game development has been so hard for me because of all the starting and stopping, right? It's all of the, I've plateaued of what I've learned and now I have to apply something harder and it'll probably break my game. And it's been so demoralizing. And the hardest thing that I've had to come to terms with is that every programmer that I know will say that is just how it is. That's how you learn, is that you break things. And a programming like code of conduct, I didn't even do that on purpose, like the code for being a programmer is that, you know, breaking things is how you learn. And I think when it comes to this year moving forward, when it comes to like social media and sharing, and Roscoe is king. I do like Roscoe. Roscoe is a vampire horse that we love to see. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't dislike the man. That's the problem, that a lot of the D villagers that I have, like, I don't dislike them. I just don't need them or want them on my island. However, I think I'm gonna give Roscoe the benefit of the doubt. Like, if he was an autofill, I actually would not be mad. I don't think I'd be mad if he was on my island. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with him, like, just showing up on my island just because. That'd be okay. But in going forward, friends, I think that if you are wanting to do something creative and you see, I don't know, like you get this euphoric rush of imagining yourself sharing your process in comparison to the other people who are doing similar things. I think that you just need to remember that you're not bad at something, you're learning. And it's okay to start from zero. Like, it is very unrealistic to start streaming and have 100, 200 people watching you just because, right? Like, a lot of the people who have been doing this for years have curated a community that actively sees them regularly, right? Like, they have the content that their core following wants to see. And it's really important that if you just want YouTube or streaming or anything creative, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, social media is a really great platform to not only just share your work and also, you know, if you want to get into the market of selling whatever it is that you're doing, that's great, but also just share your works in progress. Talk about your failings. Don't try to force yourself into an aesthetic that is difficult to maintain, because again, I think that there's a lot of joy in having an aesthetic that makes you happy, that makes you feel the most yourself and at home. And I love seeing people's perfectly cleaned offices that have, you know, a color scheme, a shape idea that's feng shui as heck. And I don't have the funds or the resources. And Biff, I love Biff. Biff is my son's birthday twin. I feel like it would be in bad form to say anything other than, like, he is a must-have. I think he's a happy to have. I think that if he showed up on an island, that if I was looking for a jock, and I would be happy to have him. Absolutely. But yeah, it feels so bad that, like, my husband's villager that reminds me of him, like, I have to have her. But honestly, I've had Biff multiple times and I've always been happy to have him. But when he asks to leave, it's like, oh, it's your time. You know, maybe that's the thing about bee villagers, is that they have more autonomy, going like, you can release me from my bonds, please, instead of the must-haves or the S tiers where they are not leaving. It's a very codependent relationship. This is also the time of year, I think, where we start considering moving forward. Like, what is the future? And considering that the future feels very, questionable, that I think the biggest thing that I want for 2025 is I would like peace, right? I would like peace for myself. I would like peace for others, peace for the world. I would like for there to be a space to breathe. And I think what I would like to do is pursue more things creatively outside of YouTube, because I noticed towards the end of, like, my Twitter era with doom scrolling that, and I've since left Twitter, so I think I want to pursue creative things that I can share, sure, but it's not specifically for social media's enjoyment, because I would like to add my own paintings to Drake. I would like to add my own paintings to the house, and I would like to do more creative things. That's not specifically just for, like, the sake of YouTube and my job on here. And Drake is... I had Drake for a while, and I liked him. I thought he was cool. I think I tried to do an all duck island or a mostly duck island, and he was on there for a bit. And his design is so cool, but I honestly... I think he's starter villager energy. Yeah, no, he's one that if he ended up on the empty plot for the lazy, I would not be upset. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Like, that would be awesome. But he's not one I would actively go for. So yeah, 2025 is going to be my year where my goal is to finish not one, but two prototype games for the mechanics that I want to heavily utilize in my base game, like the whole game that I have in mind. And so far, at the time of this recording, I've created an inventory. I've created an inventory GUI. I'm currently working on making collectibles in the world to pick up and transfer from the basic UI I have of like how many seeds is available for flower breeding. I guess to explain that I want to create a flower breeding game that also has a bouquet building component as well. That's like the basis of the game that I want to do. And for the prototype, what I'm trying to figure out how to do is transfer the information so that the collectible counts as certain seeds, and then after you grow them, not only do you get money for selling them, but you get seeds back, similar to like the Stardew Valley sunflower, where when you pick them you can get a certain amount of seeds as well, like based on probability. And so I've had to really go back and learn all of these new mechanics at the same time, because I'm trying to create an inventory that works, but you can't have an inventory that works when you don't have collectibles to pick up and put into your inventory. And that inventory collectible has to mean something. It's been, man, game development has been very humbling, right? I've definitely changed my attitude and opinion about game development and game design because I've gotten into this as a hobby, I suppose. And when I see games coming out, I'm just really excited by the fact that someone created a game and got it to completion and is sharing it. Like, I think that is such an incredible feat that I thought I could never. And bam, you're already on the list, you're fine. But I think that's another reason as to why I don't necessarily feel like I'm good at reviews, because I have like this almost insider knowledge, this basic insider knowledge, by the way. It's not at all like I can see the code, I can see the literal matrix of how they built their game. But I've also started becoming a lot more critical about accessibility because of it. And that's this really big turning point of my artsy gamer career that I didn't think I would get into, is talking about accessibility, because, you know, I am an able-bodied person, but as I said in my video, that it shouldn't take something to directly impact me to matter. I mean, not only do I have family members that are disabled and would probably really enjoy playing games if they could, but I also have community members and friends who play games who are disabled and are impacted by those disabilities if the accessibility features are not available. And I think that's something that even with indies who don't have resources as of yet, that I think we should really understand and hold large game companies accountable for their lack of accessibility features. And I really do want to hear from game devs in particular, especially if you're going to school right now for game development and game design. Like, do you have courses in accessibility? Because I've looked this up, that there's a lot of homebrew courses that you can find on accessibility. There are people who talk about accessibility features of like what you should have. But for the most part, there have been games that I've played that I guess are considered too simple or even too complex to have any sort of accessibility features added. And I think that's kind of lazy. And that's something that I really do want to add to my accessibility series, is that I want to talk about why large gaming companies vary their accessibility features. Is this anchovy? This is anchovy, right? No, this is not anchovy. This is Sparrow? Sparrow? Jack Sparrow? He's cute. Oh, he's cute though. Oh my gosh, he looks like he's seen some things with those little beady eyes. I've never had Sparrow before. I would not mind having Sparrow. I think we're going to put him in maybe happy to have? Maybe? I don't know. Like, I've never had the man. That's the problem. Although, if I had to choose between him and Peck, I think he would be Filler Majesty. Yeah, I would not be upset to have him, but I think I would like Peck more. Game development in general is such an interesting thing to take on because, again, I'm the sort of person that while I don't often read instructions, I like having very clear instructions. And thankfully, there's quite a few channels on YouTube that are very clear with like explaining the what's, whys, and hows of game development, the different game engines, the different coding languages. And NetNinja, I will just praise on high, was an incredible introduction to game development because he basically broke down what Godot 4 was for me, how to use GDScript, and I do think that Godot 4 is an incredible introduction to coding and as a game engine because it has all of these explanations that is written into the software. So if you want to look up what a node or a signal is, or on area entered, like all of the different commands that you can utilize and functions and variables, that it will explain it to you. What's also difficult is that, you know, everyone's going to have a different way to code and... Oh man, I know that I get into like these whole things about conversations and Sasha's definitely filler energy. Like Sasha's fine, but he reminds me of Sherb. Like the serial killer Sherb, the Amandophile Sherb. He's hiding something. He is definitely the anti-hero or even the antagonist in a group of like kids trying to run away from a killer, and he was actually the killer all along. Like that is the vibe that Sasha gives me. I can't have him on an island. I can't. Like, he's cute. He's so cute. Maybe one day, but right now, no. No, we're definitely going to have starter villager energy or skipping over. 100%. I think also this video is going to be the realization that maybe I don't like a lot of villagers, and I don't know, like I can find an island and a theme for any villager, and honestly, if I ended up having to take Sasha for whatever reason, I wouldn't be upset because I've never had him before, but there's a lot of villagers that I don't need to have. And going back and cycling back and circling back to the whole coding thing is that while there are specific requirements and rules that are with coding, like I cannot tell you how many times my code was broken because there was a parentheses missing, because there was a semicolon missing. But I can create so many different variables so as long as I explain it in a way that Godot or GDScript understands, right? Like you can create your own variables so that it makes sense for you and you can organize your game any way that you want. There's no wrong way to code or program a game, but I've been trying to like keep it, you know, organized and simplified. And I feel like with learning and creating this prototype that I'm creating like Frankenstein's monster because of all the different tutorials that I'm taking from. And a great way to learn from coding is that instead of just like copying exactly what they're doing, like with naming their variables or where it's placed, that, you know, the way that you learn is that you explain it in the various command functions. So you'll do a hashtag symbol. I don't know if that's actually what the symbol is called, but it basically allows for you to write an explanation of what you're using it for. So if you have a specific place you want to place your animations for your player in a game, that you can say, this animation is for idle, this animation is for a specific tool, this is a literal filler majesty, 100%. That's Rex, right? Rex is definitely... No, it's Elvis. Is it Elvis? It's Elvis. This is Elvis, right? Elvis, okay. Elvis... He'd make a really good holiday island, wouldn't he? Because he has Santa energy, just a little bit, just a wee. I think we're going to put him. He is literally a king. We need to put him as filler energy. So we're going to, for now, put him as a C tier villager because honestly, his eyebrows are so on fleek. It's amazing. They're amazing. But yeah, like there's so many different ways that you can organize your code and it will still work. Like there is this method of, you know, making it so that old code doesn't continue building up and bloating it, because that's what effectively causes your game as well as your computer to slow down while you play it. And it cycles back to this whole notion that there's no one right way to succeed or to make something happen. And although it is really tempting and really attractive to see, you know, hundreds of thousands of views, subscribers, whatever, for a creative process that validates you, that eventually it's going to become a job. And becoming a job means that it really takes away this allowance for failure, which is such a shame, because I think that learning as you go is such an amazing experience. I was thinking about how in one of the last live streams of November, I think it was the last week before Thanksgiving, that I had celebrated my 4-year YouTube anniversary. And I was thinking back about like, wow, I've been here for 4 years. And again, the inner critic was really loud and saying that, you know, there are people who are starting later than you that are further along. So what are you doing wrong? And I think it's more about the fact that I'm doing things differently because that's what makes me happy. And envy or jealousy is always going to be the thief of joy. You're always going to find something that is wrong or, you know, bad about what you're doing. But the reality is that it's not that there's a finite amount of success in the world, but if you really think about it, what would make you happy? What do you want to see in your, you know, technological footprint? And Daisy, my birthday twin. I love Daisy. A good reminder of just like celebrating yourself. I think we're gonna make Daisy happy to have. Yeah. Daisy's been like one of those villagers that I wasn't sure how I felt about, but when I had her on an island, especially during the winter, she's so fun. I really enjoy having her. I also do this thing where on my birthday, I will amiibo her in at the roost and we'll have a coffee together on our birthdays. It's really kind of a shame that we can't like acknowledge that we both have birthdays on the same day. That would be so awesome, Nintendo. Like, make that a feature, please, because if our daddy Brew Brew says happy birthday, like gives you literally like a birthday cuppa, that wouldn't it be really cool to have, even if it wasn't your birthday twin, like if you were inviting somebody to the roost that they said, oh, is today your special day? Happy birthday, right? Like, wouldn't that be so cute? But I think, again, this whole connection to social media, that we are starting to see that it's not healthy for us to be so chronically online, but this is the way that we interact. This is the way that we share our creative processes, is that through the joys and beauty of being a globalized society, we're able to see and talk across the world within seconds, right? Like, I am streaming from South Korea and I'm talking with people in California. I'm talking with people in Germany at the same time. And so I know that social media and these platforms are such a great way to connect, but I sincerely hope that 2025 moving forward is the allowance to be real online. And I know that there's this delightful boundary of parasocial relationship dynamics. I know that we have to really be safe with the things that we do share online, but I really do miss the realness of just sharing the works of progress. Like, I know that being an artist, I have to share my works in progress because I have seen this witch hunt for accusing people of using AI, which is rough, right? Because that is something that if you are just accused of using AI, it can really affect your reputation in the art community. And I'm really enjoying sharing being new at something. I think that has brought me more humility. Petrie. It's brought me more humility, and it's also kind of allowed for me to learn at my own pace and just be okay with that. I think Petrie is beautiful. I think she's honestly one of the most beautiful 2.0 villagers. I've had her a couple of times and she's just there though. Like, she's beautiful. I love her premise. I love the fact that she has a theme, like similar to Marlowe. I think they're the most thematic of all of the 2.0 villagers, but honestly, I feel she's also starter villager energy. She's someone that, like, if I had to have an autofill, I'd be like, okay, yay. But like, she's okay. Like, that's the problem. She's gorgeous. And that's the thing with this whole villager hunt, is that I sound so mean, but it's mostly just like the honest reaction of, would I skip over them? Yes. Okay, so let's like move on to another topic. I think I want to talk about Lagom for a bit, because it has been since I think the summer. We were doing summer vibes when it was casually Lagom. I was super inspired by K Daisy's, you know, Animal Crossing and Chilling series, where she was redoing her island after not, you know, decorating on it for a while, giving it a nice little, you know, fluff up. Wow, that was a really weird word. You know what I mean? Like, she redid a good portion of her island over the course of 30 days, where it was minimal editing, just enjoying the process. And honestly, I love those videos. I love it when people just play the game and talk about what's going on in their lives. I think that's something that is less isolating, because it reminds me that behind these videos, behind the humor, behind the amazing edits, is that they're people, right? Like, we're people. I'm a person. I have hopes and dreams and anxieties. I have a life outside of YouTube. And what I love about games like Animal Crossing, and specifically just like playing the game to enjoy playing the game, Poncho? It's Poncho, right? I think this is Poncho. No, it's Cody. It's Cody. Oh my gosh, because who's Poncho? Is Poncho another bear? Yeah, he's another blue. What is up with like the blue cubs? What? Yeah, I have a lot of D tier villagers right now. This is embarrassing. I feel like everyone's gonna be like, Artsy, you were so nice. You pretend to be online anyway. It's like, no, I really don't ever have a need for certain villagers. But anyway, so Lagom has been really nice to play on, because I really didn't feature anything on it. Like, Animal Crossing was becoming more of a game that I just enjoyed playing, that I wasn't really worrying about the next builds, the next designs. And I think when the next Animal Crossing game comes out, and I still have this conspiracy theory that Animal Crossing New Horizons is going to be able to port with the other game. Like, it's going to be connected in the same way that Animal Crossing GameCube could with like the island villagers and stuff. Like, I think that that's possible, but I think I really want to normalize just playing the game and having a fun time. Like, I'm not looking to create these wild, extravagant designs. Like, I'm trying to find this balance specifically with Lagom, because it was lagging. It was literally Lagom. That I remembered that the whole purpose of creating Casual Crossing in January was to look at how I play games differently. I didn't want to simply just play games because it was bringing me clout, and I didn't want to just have all of these game devs validating me by like giving me these game codes that I would never play. And I recognized that I found a lot of joy finding this balance of seasonally changing a base island, and then if I want to just completely redo it, I could. But I don't think everyone plays Animal Crossing the same. I think that we like to find this Wendy. We like to find Wendy. Oh my gosh, Wendy. You know how I feel about the sheep villagers. I really like the sheep villagers. I think they are stunning. I think they're probably my favorite species. No, wait, I think actually the penguins are my favorite species, but I really like Wendy. I think Wendy is maybe a B villager, happy to have. Maybe. She's between B and C. She's like a B minus villager for me, but I think we're going to put her in B because I feel really bad by all of my listings so far. Yeah, we're going to put her... Yeah, we'll put her with a happy to have. Sure. Hi, Wendy. Bye, Wendy. So, like, Casual Crossing definitely changed my perspective in the way that I was looking at and playing with in games. And I think a lot of people are really tired of trying to either come up with, like, this new thing that's never been done before, or they really miss the experience that Animal Crossing in 2020 brought. And I think it's definitely a personal decision, a personal choice to move back to a balance of like, are you playing this game in a way that actually brings you more stress than joy? Are you on YouTube in a way that brings you more stress than joy? And I think that's why I have been just really solidifying my core community as opposed to like growing. And that's okay because again, the lizard brain is really good at honing in at, you know, being validated means your survival, especially in a world where we are chronically online. Like our online interactions and our real life interactions are not separated. That's a false dichotomy. Like we are participating in society on either experience in person or online. And I recognize that I think why I've been feeling so isolated and why I've been feeling so burnt out is that I've been lacking these connections with other players and gaming for the sake of gaming and having fun for the sake of having fun. And that's not something that's marketable, I don't think. I believe that we do strive at the core of our being to connect with people. And Casual Crossing was life-changing for me. Like, truly. I know that sounds really silly that this game has been consistently life-changing for me, but there it is. And Diana was, I think, she wasn't an original 10 for me. She was one of the first villagers that I got on my first island, though. I think she was like one of the first original 20. I really like Diana. She is such a bad bee. Diana, I would be happy to have. Yeah, I would be happy to have her come back. I think she is a really great villager. I know that originally, I believe that she was a top tier villager for a while, and she probably still is, I don't know. But I really like Diana, especially in the winter. I know that's really, it's so weird to think of villagers as seasonal because of just their colorations and their vibes and their moods, but there are some instances where I really do like having villagers in certain seasons and then getting them to come back during that season. Is that weird? And I think the other thing too is that I've been considering how I'm going to split up the island with my villager preferences, because what I've realized about my favorite villagers, especially on Lagom, is that there's fewer and fewer plots that I want to change out. And I've already done a good portion of the Casual Crossing rules. And I guess at this point of the video, I should actually share the Casual Crossing rules of what I've been doing for this year. And I bred every single flower hybrid in the game. I've been using my native fruit tree and my native flowers and seasonal shrubs as they've changed in every single creation I've done. I had over 12 villagers that I've never had before on the island, which was really cool. I got 3 photos from villagers that I've never had before, which was awesome. And basically, although it had like rules and guidelines of how to play Casual Crossing, at the base of it was just finding this balance of this infinite allowance of like going to order bots and treasure islands and just removing the autonomy of villagers to suddenly trying to create a community that you want to come back to and sign in on over and over. And there are some days where I really just do the dailies and I say hi to the villagers and I gift them. And then there are some days where I am literally on for hours redecorating. And I really appreciated this balance. And oh my gosh, this was an OG 10. Naomi, do you know me? Hello. I like Naomi a lot. I really do. Naomi, oh, this is hard. I really like Naomi, but she's not a top 10. She's not an A or B villager for me. She's not someone where it's like, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to invite her. You know what I mean? I think honestly, she may be a filler. She may be a filler majesty. She may be C tier for me, I think. Yeah, and recently on my other Switch, I think I had started and restarted an island 3 times this year. I think I did. I think I restarted multiple islands because I wanted to have a second forever island. And thankfully, because it's in a different season, I have some degree of difference between the islands. So signing in and I'm realizing, oh, it's summer. That's cool. And then being able to decorate. But I recognized from the fact that I'm going on this theme how easy it is to get burnt out because it's a theme. And as someone who was diagnosed as ADHD in their 30s, and I've been officially on a medication for a year, that's also been life-changing. So again, a win of this year is that I finally got my brain back. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but for people who are late diagnoses when it comes to specifically disorders like that, and being able to be medicated and find ways to work with your brain instead of, you know, feeling that you are constantly the problem. I mean, that in of itself is a win. The fact that I'm doing game development and I'm not giving up when it gets hard is something that I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing. And I struggled with this with comics too, because I've mentioned this before like YouTube, I was doing web comics, not webtoons, but like web comics. And I had 2 stories that I was working on that I think one I'm not going to be able to get back to. The other one I may turn into a novel if I feel super motivated. I probably won't. But the problem with ADHD is that I am chronically inspired. Like if you give me I don't know, a concept, or if someone is doing something really cool, I will consider that a potential reality for me for a good couple of days. And sometimes I will hyperfixate on it for a couple of months and then I move on to the other one, which is why game development is so hard. And that's my girl, Anacotti. Anacotti, speaking of like things that I started and stopped, Anacotti was one of the first people on my GameCube island that I started a year ago and I had only played for a couple of weeks. But yeah, no, my ADHD brain really thrives in short-term wins, which is why with game development, starting out and purchasing like courses where I could make games in a short amount of time has been really great, because I've technically made like 2.5 games. Technically, like they're not my games, but I was able to put together a game and understand like how they all came together. And Anacotti is definitely, I would say, starter villager energy, because she's been my starter villager for multiple islands, including, I think she was part of the 30-day island, right? Yeah, the 30-day island in August, because I wanted to create an island and I punted that to the sun. So definitely starter villager energy. And I guess that is something that I want to celebrate as a win for me, is because I suddenly have been, like, my life has been completely changed with having a child, right? Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It is hard. It's hard to find this balance, especially when you don't have support outside the nuclear family. Like, if you have grandparents that you still talk to, or if you have siblings, or if you have people that, you know, you can, outside of their daycare, if you can afford it, it's like, it's just you. And I feel that in getting my day back, for the most part, aside from getting sick and going through all this stuff, it's this year I've started to realize that no, I can actually do things. And I'm actually looking around the house and I'm clearing out things that aren't ours, or that are years old, or that we don't use, or that's broken. And having that energy for the first time in literal years is really incredible. And the fact that I can do game development and work on multiple things at the same time is something that it's hard, right? Like, it's hard. And there are things that have to give. You don't, if the more that you add to your plate, specifically neurodivergent people, we struggle with this. If you are trying to put more and more things on your plate, your day does not expand. So you have to really accept the fact that some things are going to give and some things will always be a priority. So for example, the well-being of my family will always be a priority to me over YouTube. I would not sacrifice their well-being or my health or my safety for views. I would never do that. But I do think that this year in general is a win, that it's giving me a starting point to, like, for the rest of whatever I'm doing, right? Like making games. And Gruff is definitely, I don't dislike Gruff. He's just not for me. Definitely I've never like strived to get him ever. Like, I honestly think he's D tier, honestly. Did I ever mention like who I was actually searching for in this entire thing? We are over halfway through, which is great. I'm doing a lot better. I'm being a lot faster at villager hunting while pontificating, but you're all gonna laugh at me. I am looking for Beardo. It's the same thing with Kashmir, is that I'm building up this hype in my head that Beardo is an incredible villager because I love his happy home prompt. But I'm also kind of looking to get Agnes to come back. I also would love maybe to have Cherry, because Cherry feels like this lumberjack lesbian girl that could really benefit being on Lagom, or, you know, Lagom could benefit having her. But like, I don't know. I'm looking either for a Smug or a Sisterly. Having Ursula come back would be really fun, because Ursula was my OG, like my literal OG Sisterly in 2020. And I had her for a couple of months, and I really liked her. Her eyebrows always kind of set the tone that she was being condescending, but wrong bear though. Klaus is a Smug. Klaus is a Smug I've considered. I know that everyone thinks that's weird, but Klaus, like, listen, the villagers have bad starting outfits, and I know that he's thematic. I know that he is like Roman Caesar, whatever, but he's actually like a cool villager. His design, his facial features are so cool. And I think like giving him a sweater, giving him a fluffy hat during the winter, you see it, right? You see it. Like this little grump that actually just wants to be loved. We're not taking him today. Filler Majesty. I think we're going to make him a Filler Majesty for now. And as I said, we will likely be changing out these characters as we get more of them, because I am limited to, what did I say? 40 Filler Majesties, 30 Happy to Haves. So eventually we're going to get into this conversation of how wrong I am. I'm actually really struggling also to picture Sisterlies right now. So if we find Flo, I'd love to have her come back. Fuchsia I had for all of like maybe a couple of weeks. I liked her, she's cool, but again, not my favorite. Like, are there Sisterlies I've never had? Okay, y'all, this is actually really wild. Of all the Sisterlies, I have never had Sylvia, Shari, who I'd like to have, Mira, who I'm going to be putting on the other island, and Charlize and Cherry. Like, all of the other Sisterlies I've had to some extent, to some capacity. That is wild. Wow. I think I've had a lot of the villagers, even for a short time frame. That is Annalisa. Yeah, Annalisa. Cool. I'm also really happy to know that I know the majority of these villagers' names 4 years after. She's cute. She's cute. She's an anteater. I've come to appreciate her more than in previous years, but she's definitely not a villager that I've wanted to have. I've also never really had like an Eastern Flare Island, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to make Annalisa. Annalisa's definitely starter villager energy. Like, not someone to skip over, but if she ended up as a starter plot, like, I wouldn't be upset. It's just, again, a lot of these villagers don't have the aesthetic that I think I go for that brings me comfort. I love forested islands. I think everyone has an island preference, right? Like, I think if I could make islands for the rest of my, like, if I had to pick one island theme to create for the rest of my life, it would be a forest core island, because there's so many different kinds of forests, right? There's lush forests, there's desert forests, there's you know, haunted stuff. Like, you can do so many things with a specific theme. And when I see these villagers, I often think, are they something that I would see in the forest, like, truly? And this is probably an issue of mine where I like being able to have some amount of realism. I know that anteaters are South American. I think they're from the Amazon, right? I think. They're from that area of the world, so forested, right? And a lot of the villagers I like are villagers that I would probably either see in the wild or would enjoy being in that sort of environment. I know that Vesta is a sheep, so fields, but like, you know, rolling fields with nice forests on the inside, that's the sort of vibe that I really like seeing. That's the sort of vibe that in real life, if I could wake up surrounded by trees, I would be the happiest person. Put me in plaid, put me in a beanie, let me have my coffee or decaf tea in the morning with a fog that's not out to kill me, because the pollution's really bad. And Chev! Okay. Is this going to be a hot take that of the two goat lesbians, also I'm gonna take this, of the goat lesbians, I kind of like Nan better, but Chev is a cutie. Chev's a cutie. I've had her before. I feel that Chev, like, there's a couple of villagers that you need to have two of them. Like, so Dottie and Tiffany are best together. Chev and Nan are best together. So I think we're going to make Chev a happy to have. I wish I had more time with her, but she needs to have her girlfriend. It's required. Yeah, we'll put her there. I'm looking at this tier list right now, and let me tell you, friends, this feels really controversial. But who sent us a DIY? Aurora sent us a wooden toolbox, which we already know, but we can give that to my other villager. Cool. The snow that is falling, it is wild right now. Like, the light, I'm so sorry of how blinding it is. Like, I just must look angelic to all of you. So I turned out the light a little bit, but oh my gosh, it is a wintry wonderland already. That's crazy pants. We are down to 20. So either we find a villager that is really just calling to me, or we take who's ever on the 50th ticket, which is always scary. Unless, of course, it's a villager that I already have on the other island. That's kind of my rule. So if we get to the end of this 50 ticket hunt and it's a villager that I have on the other island, we're not taking them. It'd be hilarious if it's Stu, because it would absolutely be a Stu thing. It would 100% be a Stu thing to just come on the last ticket and I would take him. Scott would be so happy. I'm looking to replace my camera. I think you've probably seen that I changed the lighting a little bit. It looks a lot less wild right now. But I am wanting to move from the Elgato face cam that I have to a mirrorless like a mirrorless digital camera. And so if anyone has any suggestions, I looked at like a Sony version that seemed pretty good. Oh no. It's Graham. Y'all, I'm gonna be super honest. I was considering, like, if there was a smug after Ed had left, if I wanted to get a new villager, that it would be Graham. Because listen. I love Graham. I don't care about the whole shrine with the J-pop bubblegum. Like, listen, I understand that it can be creepy for some, but I live in Korea, and the K-pop posters everywhere, the K-pop idol love here is pretty much on par. And for those who listen to K-pop and J-pop, you know exactly what I'm talking about, so I would never kink shame, but oh, Graham. I still stand by the statement that if Graham, just change out the glasses. Like, that's what I'm saying. I stand by the statement. Just change out the glasses, and he is the best soft boy. Are we taking Graham? Are we taking Graham today? No, because I didn't take a picture of the empty plot as a thumbnail, and I need to do that. Oh, Graham. Oh, Graham. Oh, no. I love Graham. Okay, listen. That is such a visceral reaction. Is Graham a top 10? No. Graham's not a top 10, is he? All right. We're going to put Graham in A tier because I love Graham. You cannot tell me otherwise. I feel like I'm going to absolutely regret skipping him over for the thumbnail. No, this man is A tier for me. Wow, I'm learning something new about myself every day. I feel so bad that I am skipping him over, but I need to take the thumbnail. I need to do the thumbnail, besties. It's required. Oh, this hurts. This hurts. I know I'm gonna regret this. Wilbur, bring him back. The one time that I'm okay with him coming back toward the end, it's fine. Oh no. The fact I did this for you, y'all. I did this for the thumbnail. All right, so the thumbnail. I wish I could go back a little further, but we have Maddie here, and we're gonna do the thing. How about? Yeah, that one. Perfect. Perfect. We got a little bit of snow. We got a little bit of snow in the background. This backdrop right here, ignore the flowers, I really like. I've been trying over the course of this year to find this balance with decorating and just leaving the island alone, and I've unfortunately hit this lag situation that I've been trying to remove, and oh my gosh, all the time traveling I did to get one of those villagers in boxes. The flower cleanup is going to be wild, but I really do like how this has come out. I don't know if I did a tour of this island yet as in its current Pokemon form, but I do have plans for this series to maybe festivitivize, I don't know. Anyway, make this a little bit more festive over here. And I'm really excited by ending Casual Crossing in January on a more thoughtful, philosophical note. Because, again, I'm not immune to wanting validation from numerous strangers on the internet, and that's such a weird thing to say from someone in their 30s, because I think anyone in their 30s will tell you that being in your 30s is like like being an actual grown-up. There was someone that said that being in your 20s is like being an adolescent where you're trying to figure your stuff out, but you have the ability to vote and, you know, make questionable life choices more catastrophic. And so like I spent my 20s trying to figure out who I was, and I think in my early 30s I started recognizing that, wow, I don't actually really care. I want, at the very end of the day, I want to pursue peace and happiness and find out what that means for me. And as somebody that is neurodivergent, I think I've also come to this realization that you don't have to pick just this one thing to be defined by forever. I think that is a very older generation concept that allows for stability. And considering that we live in a very unstable, unknown future world right now, that having Marlo, oh my gosh, it's Godfather Daddy. Hi. I like Marlo a lot. I think having a lot of different things to try out in your 30s is a great skill to just continue that forward. I think we're going to put Marlo in also Filler Majesties because I really like having him on an island. I've had him in multiple islands, actually. He was like the main guy for Sonder. That was my villainous volcano lair. And then I had him on my 30-day island challenge for making a festive island in 30 days without using my storage, which was really intense. But I think in your 30s, I want to really hone in and honor that your 30s isn't about just like figuring it out and not caring. It's about really making yourself a priority that you didn't get to do in your 20s. Because in your 20s, that's like being wacky, being wild, allowing yourself to gain whatever sort of experience that you need for the workforce in order to, I guess, get into middle management. I don't know. I haven't been in an actual like office since I was in my mid-20s anyway. But in your 30s, I know we start complaining about the geriatric millennial, like the being in your 30s, you start like feeling the creaks and you start feeling the aches and you start feeling your age. And that's something that people in their 40s, especially femme-bodied people who are going through perimenopause or menopause, they're like, oh, it gets better. And I think I want to reframe that, friends, especially that if you are in your 30s or if you are an older person, if in your 40s and 50s, that this is the time to prioritize yourself and actually be selfish. You know, I've recognized in the past few months that I can't sleep on 6 hours anymore. Like I can't function unless I sleep more than 7 hours a night. And that was hard when you have a baby because you're chronically exhausted. You are up every couple of hours. There are constant needs from this little potato that need to be met because it's their survival, right? But now that he's settling into toddlerdom, I've had to really go back and consider, why do I consider myself a back burner priority? Does that make sense? Like, I think in our 20s, we are able to ignore the stress. We are able to ignore the pain, and we're going to ignore Chow. He's definitely someone I skip. There's nothing about him that I particularly find aesthetically pleasing. So petty, I know. But I don't need Chow on an island. Is Chow a nope for me? No, he's not nope. He hasn't done anything wrong. He just looks that way. But again, going back to like more positive conversations, I suppose, instead of me being a petty envy, that in your 30s, the thing I want people to reframe, and even if you are in like your teens or in your 20s, that I think our lives, our bodies, our experiences are precious. And I went through my 20s trying to please everybody else, and all that it left me was a burnt out creative mess. And I know that we have societal obligations of decent humanity, right? Like being kind and compassionate to others where we can. But I think in your 30s, it's important to turn that inward and be like, no, in fact, I do want to go to sleep early, or no, I don't want to go to this social obligation because people expect me to, when all they do is criticize me, or they are mean, or I actually don't like them. And so in your 30s, I think we start seeing that physical manifestation of stress in our 20s, where we really just need to take back that ownership of our time and our ownership of our rest and our peace, And I think that's what happened with me this year, is that I reclaimed my peace. And that's not something that social media likes to see. Hello, Octavian. Have I ever had Octavian on an island before? I had Zucker, and Zucker was one of those villagers that I didn't originally like, but I came to really appreciate. And I like Marina, I know, wild. But I think Octavian is someone that I typically skip over. There's not, again, nothing wrong with the man, just not my vibe. He just looks like he's about to explode in his anger, you know? I don't have the answer for this. And, you know, life is one of those consistent movements forward. We don't have everything figured out in one moment. It's similar to coding. It's similar to getting into any creative process. It's similar to just sitting with what makes you happy in comparison to what's going on with other people and how quote unquote successful or more successful they are than you. And I sincerely hope that within the next couple of years that we reclaim social media and social media, you know, interactions as tools, as community building, as creative building, instead of this validation that we are worth being seen. That's what I want to leave with all of you with this video and this video series, and really just like the Artsy Gamer as a channel, is that success and happiness are not the same. And there are people who are writing books that don't want to be published because the mere consideration of looking for a publisher destroys the creative desire, because then they're thinking, well, no one's going to want to read it. It's not marketable. And can you just imagine talking to either an actual child, your inner child, or a child in general, or even just a person, and they are really excited to get into something that is creative and beautiful, and then they kind of just fall back and like, but no one's going to like it. No one's going to actually literally press a thumbs up. And that's what keeps people from being creative online, is that there is this desire, and you know, I have it too, of wanting likes and wanting subscribes, and of wanting subscribers and followers and a financial support network from my creativity. And who is this? It's Mo. Mo is not my favorite cat. I've grown to really like him recently because the stands for Mo are relentless. But honestly, I think he's starter energy for me. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. Please don't hate me. Definitely just like, again, a lot of these villagers, if they ended up as like the first 10 of the plots, like I wouldn't be upset, but they're not villagers I search for. Again, going back to what I was saying, that creative thing that you want to do and you want to post that you've never done before, you don't have the funds to get the most expensive materials. And I will say the majority of the streaming materials that I have was gifted to me because somebody had, you know, they upped their stuff. It's okay to start from nothing. It is okay to be a beginner. It is okay to be learning. And I really hope that YouTube, despite it is a company, it strives to make money. I am the product as well as the consumer. I understand that I am the cog in the wheel of the algorithm, but it's okay that you have one person watching you with a live stream. It's okay that you have one person just saying a comment, because honestly, that is a lot more engagement than more people want to do. I do it because like I know how important it is and it's my job, but honestly, the act of being creative is more important than the product. Did you have fun doing it? That's the amazing part. Did you do something differently that was hard and challenging and it made you look at something different? That's what life is all about, y'all. And I really hope that 2025 hones in on the honesty of being so ingrained in social media. I really hope that we have this honest conversation about social media addiction, because I honestly started feeling like that's what I was using my phone for. Tiffany, we already got you, boo. You're already a must-have. I'm sorry. But I think just like for 2025, I want to use 2024 as that stepping stone of like, I got my day back. I'm settling into this routine of setting boundaries of what I want to do and who I want to be. And 2025 onward is going to build up on that. And I may not have grown to the same extent as a lot of hardworking of, I will reframe that. I may have not has grown as much, you know, subscriber wise, follower wise, whatever, as other hardworking people that earned every single one of those views and subscribers because of just how incredible they are. But I used this year as the stepping stone of what I want to do and who I want to be. And I think that reframing my 30s, reframing my year of hunkering down and figuring out like who I want to be is an incredible feat. You know, being able to do that while adjusting to an ADHD diagnosis, adjusting to medications, adjusting to new life situations, adapting over and over and over. It's hard being a human right now, y'all. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit to simply honor where you're at. So I I know that this feels like I'm preaching to the choir. I know that I think a lot of people feel that way anyway. And I really hope that this is what energy we bring. It's not necessarily like a positive attitude or a can-do attitude, because I think that's too close to hustle and grind culture. But it's okay to be where you're at. It's okay to have your ups and downs and plateaus. It's kind of like a muscle where you work out. We are down to 13, y'all. We're down to 13. Lucky 13? Victoria! I had Victoria on my hard mode island, and I say this with the most love. She is filler girl energy. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say, but I really liked having Victoria, more so than I thought I would, but she's definitely not someone that I search for unless I have to take her. Also, can we like bring back hard mode? It doesn't necessarily have to be the same rule set from Pat from Nintendo Talks, like a hardcore version that the community does again, because the thing that I loved about hard mode was, one, I had to learn how to make custom codes, which really helped me feel a lot more comfortable actually getting into pixel art, funnily enough. And I also really like the challenges that come with playing this game with economic like restrictions. And while the biggest thing that I had to sit with for the challenges like hard mode and rags to riches and Animal Crossing RPG, which I didn't really play much of, unfortunately, is that because I live in Korea, when I'm available, people are sleeping usually, or they're at work or anything like that. So maybe if there is a rule set that's specifically for single player and has a set time and also has a very basic goal, like, you know, no treasure islands, no order bots, getting to 5 stars, getting an S tier house, decorating your island, or having a specific restriction where you do something differently. I also would love to see a challenge, like a community-wide challenge of a no items island. Could you imagine all the different islands that would come up from that? I know people would say, oh, it would just be trees and flowers. I'm like, yeah, but you can do something like an English garden and Alfonso. I love Alfonso. Alfonso is such a great lazy. I really like him. I think he's one of my favorite gators, actually. I think we're going to put Alfonso as a happy to have. Yeah, no, I would be happy to have him come back. I really like him. I actually just like the gators in general. But yeah, like if you had a challenge for the overarching Animal Crossing community that you think would be really fun, what would it be? I honestly would love to have, you know, hard mode come back. I would love to have rags to riches, but with a different with different classes, because I was hashtag Team Forager all the way. But they had the Forager, they had the Fashionista, they had the Farmer, and then they had the which one did they have? They had the other one, right? But you could have, you know, the it wouldn't have to be an F thing, but like you could have a chef where all of your money is specifically on making food, right? You could have a carpenter where the only way that you could make money is by, you know, selling things that you made from DIY. What's another thing that would be really fun to do? Because that could also include a DIY island. And again, with rags to riches, something that you could do is, you know, for the chef or the cook, right? If we wanted to do C words, that the cook could specifically sell directly to the twins the food that they make, but everything else has to go into the bin. In the same way for like the carpenter, they sell directly to, you know, the twins, but then everything else has to go to the bin. What's another one that would be really good? The fisherman, like everything, like you can sell fish directly to the Nooks as well as to CJ. And it would be like a nautical themed island. What's another one? You can do a bugs or ooh, you could do one that's like an archaeologist where you decorate your island that's bone themed or fossil themed and really prioritize the museum. Like these are the sorts of things that I really want to see come back as more community oriented, because I think that's what people are craving now. People are craving connecting with others even if they can't play directly together. And I really do miss Cranston. I mean, I like Cranston, but he's definitely filler energy for me. I liked having him, but definitely not someone I would take. I really do think that bringing back some Animal Crossing vibes, especially because I know that the Switch 2 or whatever they're calling it is coming out soon, and I think it'd be really cool for people to either play through all of the franchise from Animal Crossing GameCube to Animal Crossing New Horizons with a specific set of, you know, design requirements or, you know, it's done requirements in celebrating or hyping up the upcoming game, which I'm sure will happen in the next couple of years. But the future for Animal Crossing for me is pretty much, I think I want to do either a no items island in 2025, or I want to do a 15 items island where I spam the same items over and over. And I think that'd be really interesting to do that. Also, another one, if you are a New Leaf fan, how about decorating the island with the different items that I think they're Nook Miles redemption items, that they were community projects, right? You decorate your island in the way that you could with New Leaf. So like you could use lampposts, you can use outdoor benches. I know we don't have like the flower clock, but they have fountains and stuff. Like how cool would it be to bring back some of the old restrictions from the old games to the new ones? And I say this from somebody who's only played GameCube for a couple of weeks and then got bored, but content creators like Mayor Mori and I really like Egbert. Egbert is probably one of the cuter chickens, gonna be honest. He's really cute. Like, he's really, really cute. And Doodle. Ooh, and we also have a nice little DIY. How cute. Let's see. All right, we have from Angus. What did you send us? A pile of Zen cushions, which I already know, but I can probably get that to my villager on the other island. So that's cool. So yeah, like I've been thinking about not necessarily themes that impact the villagers themselves, but I do have ideas that I would like to make a lush desert island where it's either dirt or sand all over. And there's like this deep ravine of river that every other building except for resident services is like on the second or third level. And I would really like to revisit some of those challenges, and I think allow people to go, like, to feel that they are just as creative, even if they don't have the same, social media presence, and still be validated for what they're doing. I think that'd be really cool. I have almost been doing this recording for 2.5 hours. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm just telling you all right now because this is a villager hunt. Villager hunts are usually longer. And I don't know what the other days are going to hold for this series, but hello. Hello? Where are you? Pierce! Oh my gosh. I really like Pierce. I'm gonna tell you this. Frank destroyed my any hope for liking the Eagles really early on. However, Avery and Pierce became like favorites for me for my second, I think it was for Sonder, right? It was before Sonder became the villainous volcano lair, and instead it was like a volcanology thing where we got the 2.0 volcanoes. But I really like Pierce. Pierce is probably one of my top jocks, honestly. I really do like him. He's based off of the Pellegrine Falcon, right? I think, perhaps this is controversial. I think he's a happy to have for me. I think that if he showed up and I needed a jock, he would be the jock for me. I honestly really like him. I really do. He's a really fun villager. I loved having him on Sonder. He was great. And also there was a point where I think I had 2 jocks at the same time. And if you've ever had the pleasure of having 2 jocks just be jockey at each other, it's hilarious. There's something really fun when the same personality of villagers interact. It's either the normals talking about like their favorite romantic outing and I'm going, are you together? Or it's like the snooties are all about self-care, but when the jocks get together, it's the best himbo experience that I think everyone needs in their life. I think it's so darling and so endearing. I've been talking for a lot and I have no idea how many tickets I have. I have 8 tickets left. Oh my goodness. Okay, are we going to speed this, y'all? Who's on this one? Gaston. We already said that Gaston was a happy to have, so we're moving on to the next one. I also find it hilarious that during this hunt, I'm not looking for a bunny, but for my all bunny island, there were no bunnies to be found. I had to amiibo them all in, and yet I found what, 3, 4? So we have Apple. Apple has been very polarizing to me, and I say this because I always make this joke that you stare into the void and the void stares back. However, she's kind of cute. So I definitely feel that she is filler girl majesty. Like if she was a starter villager, I would like her. I need to stop mixing C and D tier. So honestly, she's the sort of villager that if he ended up on my like empty pappy plot, I wouldn't be mad. But at just again, there's nothing wrong with these villagers. I haven't even met my nopes yet. I have not met my nopes. And yet, for some reason, I feel so bad putting villagers in D tier. I really do. I wouldn't be feeling bad if it was Judy or Frank. They can go in their nope box. But for some reason, I feel so bad. Is that our girl Vivian? I cannot run. Okay, Vivian, we're just gonna be quick about this. Vivian is definitely happy to have. No, I've had her before. I liked her a lot. Happy to have. Yes. Happy to have. All right, next we have, again, hello. Astrid, 100% starter villager energy. We're down to the last 5 tickets. I'm very happy to see that we've only gotten a couple of the Knevin residents. I think we only got, what, Gaston and Tiffany. And we haven't had any repeats, which is so wild. I typically get anywhere between 3 and 5 that just want to come back. I still say that the 10 villager hunt, there was this 10 villager hunt thing that I did for, I think it was hard mode, and I had all normals. I had all normals and I had repeats. It was wacky. But the fact that we've been able to see a wide range of not only villager, you know, species and villager personalities, but I haven't had any repeats at all. And we've had also, you know, an introduction of my early 10 villagers, because both Naomi and Graham were my OG 10. And that's Ike. Oh man, I don't think I've ever had or seen Ike on a hunt. I can't recall. I really like the Cranky Bears. He is not Grizzly though. So I think he's going to definitely be filler energy, in the sense that if I got him on an island, I wouldn't be upset, but it's just I haven't had the ability to have him. So we're just going to put him as filler majesty. The countdown is nope. Friends, we've officially met our first nope. I don't like Dom. I don't like This is so controversial, friends. I'm sure that you are all upset and heartbroken that I have such a correct opinion in comparison to everyone else. The reason why I don't like Dom is because I, like a lot of you, probably watched Evil Imp back when he was making movies. I think he's taken a break for a bit. I haven't seen him post anything for like a year, but Imp is well known in the Animal Crossing community as making short horror stories that feature amiibo cards that he would get. And so he basically used them as actors for his films. And that's one of the reasons as to why I can't have Judy on an island. But every time I see Dom, y'all, it reminds me of these films. And I can't. Like, I can't. I have this visceral reaction of like, no. And then someone, here, I'm going to ruin Dom for you. Someone had said that Dom's horns look like prawns or shrimp. So yeah, no shrimp sheep. Like, what if you're allergic? What if you go into anaphylactic shock? I can't. There are so many cuter sheep out there, like Vesta. And I'm surprised that we got a nope though. I was really worried that we wouldn't actually get a nope on this this challenge. And Boone. Oh. Boone is cool. Is he based off of he's not a baboon. He's a mandrill? Yeah, he's a mandrill. So the fact that he's based off of a real species, I prioritize, and I think definitely like real species that are featured in Animal Crossing, like Antonio. So I think he's a filler majesty, in the sense that he's not quite a happy to have, because I haven't had an instance where I was like, you know what? I need Boone on my island for no reason. So I think he's going to be there for now, but we are filling up the B tier really quickly. And so I'm really worried that I'm going to have to move some of my B tier to C tier at the end of this. Not right now, because again, we've only had 50 tickets and there's over 400 villagers that can be on your island. And we still have the Sanrio villagers that, again, aside from Chai, who I almost always will amiibo in when I want a Peppy and I can't think of a Peppy that I want to have. Chai has always been the girl I get. So aside from Chai, and I grew to like Toby, Etoile always kind of just feels there. She was rather disappointing. Like, her coloring is gorgeous, but she was really disappointing. And I've never had Chelsea, and I've never had Rilla, and I've never had Marty. Marty is someone that I would be okay with trying out, but again, people give him the whole, he's lazy cute and that's it. Anyway, let's see. We have Ozzy. No. I've had Ozzy. Definitely filler energy. Definitely like he was there as my starter. Like, he was literally my starting lazy with my second official island, Old Port. Actually, do I even like Ozzy? No, I don't think I do. I think he's officially a nope. Ozzy, okay, Ozzy was also... There was some weird glitch. I don't know if they were working on the 2.0 even... It was 2021, right? Because November 2021 was the 2.0 release. There were instances where Ozzy specifically was just missing from my island. I don't know if anyone else had this issue, but there was a time where he was literally out all day. I looked for him everywhere. I looked for him in the buildings. I looked for him along the island. My island wasn't even built up yet. And there was an instance where he was out all day. And it was, I think 11 p.m. is when when lazy villagers go to sleep. And he went from I'm out getting a snack to be quiet, I'm sleeping. So I would never see him. And I just assumed that there was some nefarious purpose involved with that. Like there was some plot to overthrow me, because he also was the villager that would say, oh, hey, I waited for you outside of your window. I had to go back home because I don't think you'd appreciate me using the bathroom in front of your house. And I'm going, wow. Wow. That's a statement. That's a sentence that you brought into the world. Okay, so yeah, no, Ozzy's not for me. Y'all, in my pontification, this is the last ticket. This is the last ticket. Are you ready? I don't think you're ready. I'm not ready. I was, who's here? Hello? Do I want Kit Kat on the island? Do I want Kit Kat on the island, though? That means I would have 2 jocks. And I was talking about how 2 jocks interacting is pretty ridiculous. And I've never had Kit Kat before. I've never had a reason to have Kit Kat before. Also, what do I think of Kit Kat? I mean, in this case, because I wasn't looking for him, I think he's going to be a filler majesty. He's going to be C tier for me. Okay, here's how we're changing the lore for him. He is a snowboarding, skiing pro. And he is visiting the island to just, you know, enjoy the holiday vibes before he moves on. And maybe I'll replace Ed with Agnes, and then I'll find another smug to replace him. But you know what? Let's do it. Let's invite him. Sure. I've never had Kit Kat before. This is gonna be wild. I've also seen, weirdly enough, this hunt had so many bunnies and so many cats that it's wild. I don't think I've ever really had the amount of cat and rabbit villagers on a hunt before. But, yeah, you know what? Sweetheart, I don't know how to tell you, but Antonio is my rival of Swoldom. You do not compare. I'm sorry. But, yeah, sure. Come on. Come to the island. Sure. He will also be really fun to decorate for, I think, because the island itself needs to get a lot of work, and I want to winterify it for the next 12 days. And some of the days include redoing the villager homes and also doing their exteriors and their yards. And so I think having something that has to do with skiing, especially since his house is going to be in the woodsy area anyway, so that may help for some planning, some design. Cool. All right, now that I'm done with this villager hunt, which took me over 2.5 hours, my throat is sore. But as I'm like settling in, I think having Kit Kat on this island is going to be really fun. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll make a goal to earn his you know, his photo with some cool stuff. But I do think that him being back here would be really cool for some skiing vibes. I think that maybe once it starts actively snowing and there's snow on the ground, that we can play around with making this more ski focused, I guess. I mean, we do have this back area. I know that I'm taking a while to end this video, but we do have this back area that I haven't done anything with. aside from, oh my gosh, the flowers. Oh no. So maybe I can do something with skiing here, maybe? I don't know. I mean, that's the whole point of this short series, is that we're going to defallify it, winterify it, and make it a fun time. Yeah. Well, friends, this was a wild ride. We're going to do a quick show of the tier list as it is right now, which is wild. So hold on. Honestly, some of these I'm not surprised, but also because they showed up and I didn't know where to put them, they will probably change. I know that, you know, the must-haves are probably there for certain, but I do really kind of regret not taking Graham. I really do. We had so many other villagers that we could see and highlight and celebrate, but there were a lot of villagers that I was surprised were starter villager energy for me. The fact that I have more nopes than I thought I did. I thought it was only Frank and Judy, but nope. This has just been a really wild time. So friends, if you're looking to do a tier list maker for the villagers that you can have as of 2.0, I'll be sure to leave it in the link where you can test it out yourself and see what your villager preferences are. But tomorrow, I don't know what we're doing. I think it's mostly going around the island and cleaning up flowers, I think, because if we're going to go with the 12 days of Toy Day, we have one empty plot and then too many flowers. I don't know. I thought I was going to be clever with it. But until then, I'm going to leave you with a sentiment that I leave on every live stream and video, that I hope you're being kind to yourself and being kind to others and making art and playing games and encouraging others to do the same. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!